Okay, continuing our discussion of AUC Section 230, where we're discussing audit evidence. We have here the section regarding what should we do if we're unable to comply with a particular requirement under GAS. And so it's in AUC Section 230.13, and it says that if in rare circumstances the auditor judges it necessary to depart from a relevant, presumptively mandatory requirement, and that's defined in AUC Section 200. And it's basically one that says it has a should statement, so you should do this or you should not do that. So anyway, if we find it necessary to depart from one of those requirements, then the auditor must document the justification for the departure and how the alternative audit procedures performed in the circumstances were sufficient to achieve the intent of that requirement. So this gives us a little bit of flexibility to, under our professional judgment, to decide the particular procedures we need to do in order to comply with the spirit of each requirement. So to make sure that we achieve each of the objectives in the AUC sections, we can modify these requirements a little bit to make it, but we still have to comply with the objectives. So let's look at this more in detail in the explanatory material down AUC sections A20 or 230.A21 through A22. So now we're down in the explanatory material, and we see that the requirements of GAS are designed to enable us to achieve the objectives that are specified in GAS, and therefore to achieve the overall objectives of the auditor, which are stated in AUC section 200. And so when GAS states the particular requirements that we are to comply with, they are with the goal that we achieve these objectives in each of the AUC sections. But sometimes maybe that requirement isn't relevant to this particular client or engagement that we're working on. So then we have to depart from that particular requirement, but we still achieve the objectives that were intended by GAS. So let's look at a few examples of that. Sometimes when a requirement might not be relevant is when the AUC section is not relevant. For example, if the entity that we're auditing does not have an internal audit function, then we wouldn't use AUC section 610, which discusses using the work of internal auditors. Therefore, that section is not relevant in our case, so we don't have to use that particular section. Another example might be that the requirement is conditional and the condition does not exist. An example of that might be when we're able to obtain all the sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then there would be no need for us to modify the auditor's opinion. So then that section related to modifying the auditor's opinion would not be relevant to us because we don't need to. That condition does not exist.